Good morning, dear students. So today we have to start with the next part of the same chapter which we were discussing in last class, that is tissues. So in last class we have already completed regarding smooth muscles, then cardiac muscles and straighted muscles. Now today we have to begin with next very important tissue, that is connective tissue. So let's see what is connective tissue. So basically, connective tissue, whenever we are taking this name, that means it is something which is connecting, which is helping to connect our whole body. So let's see what it is. Connective tissues of animals serve the functions of binding and joining one tissue to another, that is connecting bones to each other, muscles to bones, etc. Right? Like one bone is connected to another bone and then muscles are attached to the bone. So that is with the help of connective tissue. Now, forming protective sheath and packing material around the various organs, separating them so that they do not interfere with each other's activities. Carrying materials from one part to another in the body, forming a supporting framework of cartilage and bones for the body, etc. Thus, the major functions of connective tissues are binding, supporting, and packing together different organs of the body. Now, the cells of connective tissues are living and remain separated from each other. The space between the cells is filled with non-living soft gel-like matrix, which may be fibrous in nature and composed of complex carbohydrates linked to proteins. The matrix may be solid, as in case of bones, or cartilages, and fluid, as in case of blood. So the major functions of connective tissues are binding, supporting, and packing. Now let's see how many different types of connective tissues are. One by one we will discuss each. First is areolar tissue, which is also known as loose connective tissue. Now what is this areolar tissue? As you can easily understand that areola, by name it is very clear that, as the name suggests, this tissue is a loose and cellular connective tissue. Its matrix consists of two kinds of fibers. That is, first one is white collagen fiber, which changes into gelatin on boiling in water, and second one, that is yellow elastic fiber or elastin. Also scattered in matrix are several kinds of irregular cells, example fibroblast, some of which can engulf bacteria and prevent infections, example macrophages. Now, where it is generally present, it is the simplest and most widely distributed tissue. It joins skin to muscles, fills spaces inside organs, and is found in around muscles, body vessels, and nerves. Its function is it acts as a supporting and packing tissues between organs lying in the body cavity. Matrix of the tissue is important in diffusion of oxygen and nutrients from small blood vessels. Next, very important function, that is, it helps in repair of tissues after an injury. It also helps in combating foreign toxins. That means fighting against foreign toxins. Next, it fixes skin to underlying muscles. So these are important functions of areolar or loose connective tissue. So this is the diagrammatical representation of areolar tissue. So in this you can see fibrocyte is there, elastin fiber is there, which is also known as yellow elastic fiber. Then mast cell, blood vessels, bundles of white fibers, that is white collagen fiber. Then plasma cells, nucleus of fibroblast, and macrophages. And macrophages help to engulf the bacteria and prevent infection. So that is the diagram of areolar or loose connective tissue. So we understand that its main function is to support and packing the tissue between organs lying in the body cavity. Next is dense regular connective tissue. What is dense regular connective tissue, children? Now it is a fibrous connective tissue. It is characterized by ordered and densely packed collection of fibers and cells. Clear? Fibers and cells. Dense regular connective tissue is the principal components of tendons and ligaments and aponeurosis. So you can see in the diagram also how it is represented. Collagen fibers, then it is densely packed. Dense regular connective tissue consists of orders, densely packed fibers and cells. Fibroblast and collagen fibers are represented and it is densely attached to each other. Now, what are the principal component? That is tendons and ligaments. So let's see what is tendons and ligaments. The fibers are very loose and very elastic in nature, and they are secreted by surrounding connective tissue cells. This tissue, the principal component of that is tendon and ligament and aponeurosis. So what is tendons, children? Tendons are cord-like strong inelastic structure that joins skeletal muscles to bones. You can see where tendon is situated, right? So the muscles, joining of these muscles with the bones is done by tendon. A tendon is a white fibrous tissue which has great strength but limited flexibility. It consists of parallel bundles of collagen fibers between which are present rows of fibroblasts called tendinocyte. Collagen fibers are bounded by areolar connective tissue. Okay? So its surrounding, it is bounded by areolar tissue and its main function is to join the skeletal muscles to bones. Like we all have that muscles on our bone. So that joining that part is done by tendons. Now, what is the role of ligaments, children? They are elastic nature structure which connects bone to bones, right? They are elastic structures which connects bones to bones. A ligament is highly elastic and has great strength but contains very little matrix. In ligaments, some elastic and many collagen fibers are bound together by areolar connective tissue. Fibroblasts are the compressed in between regular rows of fibers. Ligaments strengthen the joint and permit normal movement but prevent overflexing or overextension. Sprain is caused by excessive pulling or of ligament. So basically you can see in the diagram what is the role of ligament. It is helping to join one bone to another so that we can fold our hand and leg. So it is with the help of this elastic tissue that is known as ligament. Now what is the difference between tendons and ligaments? First is tendons are stiff, that is inelastic, but ligaments are elastic. Tendons join muscles to bone, whereas ligaments join bones to bones. Next, tendons made up of white fibers, ligaments made up of white as well as yellow fibers. Now, one more is there, which I have not discussed, that is aponeurosis. What is aponeurosis? These are broad sheets of dense, fibrous collagenous tissue that cover, invest, and form the terminations and attachment of various muscles. Right? Terminations of various muscles. So that means end of the muscles is covered by this particular aponeurosis. Now next is adipose tissues. What is adipose tissues? Adipose tissue is basically an aggregation of fat cells or adipocytes. Each fat cells is rounded or oval in shape and contains a large droplet of fat that almost fills it. The fat cells are arranged into lobules separated by partition of collagen and elastin fibers. These partitions carry blood vessels of lobules. The adipose tissue is abundant below the skin between the internal organs. Example, around the kidneys and in yellow, bone marrow. What is its function? It serves as a fat reservoir. It reserves the fat, provides shape to the limbs and the body, keeps visceral organs in position. It forms shock absorbing cushions around kidneys and eyeballs, just like cushion it acts because it's a fat cells. Acts as an insulator, being a poor conductor of heat. It reduces heat loss from body, that is, it regulates body temperature. Clear? Now next is, after adipose tissue, next is skeletal tissue. What is skeletal tissue, children? With the name it is very clear that the whole arrangement. The skeletal or supporting tissue includes cartilage and bone, which form the endoskeleton of a vertebrate body. Now, it is divided into two, as I have already said, that cartilage and bone. These two are considered as skeletal tissue. So, first is cartilage. The cartilage, as you can see in the diagram also. So, basically, if we see the diagram, then we will understand that the cartilage is a specialized connective tissue which is compact and less vascular. It has widely spaced out cells. Its extensive matrix is composed of proteins and is slightly hardened by calcium salts. Its matrix is produced and maintained by chondrocytes. You can see in the diagram also chondroblasts, that is chondrocytes. The matrix is solid, cheese-like and firm, but also slightly elastic. This accounts for its flexible nature. The matrix of cartilage has a delicate network of collagen fibers and living cells, chondrocytes. Chondrocytes are present in fluid-filled spaces known as lacuna. Blood vessels are absent in the matrix. Chondrocytes multiply by mitosis and help in internal growth of cartilage. Thus, cartilage is capable of continuous and rapid growth. Now, if we see where it is basically located, so cartilage is located in the following body parts like ear pinna, nose tip, epiglottis, intervertebral disc, end of long bones, lower ends of ribs and rings of trachea. So these are the places where it is generally found. Next is function. What is the function? It provides support and flexibility to the body parts. It smoothens surface at joints. Next is bone. Bone is a very strong and non-flexible tissue like cartilage. Bone is a specialized connective tissue. It is porous, highly vascular, mineralized, hard and rigid. Its matrix is made up of protein, that is osteonectin, osteocalcin and proteoglycan and collagen. Matrix is bone is rich in salts of calcium and magnesium such as phosphates and carbonates of calcium and magnesium. These minerals are responsible for the hardness of the bone. The matrix of bone is the form of the concentric rings called lamella, bone cells called osteoblast. You can see in the diagram also, so it is very clear where osteoblast is situated and where lamella is situated. Here, osteoblast you can see here, right? Now next is or osteocyte. This is also known as osteocytes are present. Between the lamella in fluid-filled spaces called lacunae. All the lacunae of the bone communicate with each other by a network of fine canals called canaliculi. Each canaliculi filled with delicate cytoplasmic process of the bone cell. Through canaliculi, each bone cell of each lacuna receives food and oxygen and eliminates waste. Okay? Now, what is the function, children? Provides shape to the body, provides skeletal support to the body, protects vital body organs such as brain, lungs, etc., serves as storage site of calcium and phosphate, anchors the muscles. Now, what is the difference? So, bone is hard and inflexible, cartilage is flexible, bone is porous, cartilage is non-porous, bone blood vessels present, cartilage blood vessels absent, bone matrix made up of protein and mineral salts, example calcium phosphate, and cartilage matrix made up of protein. Now, fluid connective tissue. What is fluid connective tissue? Fluid connective tissue links the different parts of the body and maintains continuity in the body. It includes the blood and lymph. So first is blood. What is blood? Blood is a fluid connective tissue. In this tissue, cells or capsules move in a fluid or liquid matrix or a medium called blood plasma. The blood plasma does not contain protein fibers but contains cells called blood cells or blood capsules. These blood capsules are red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. So one by one, we will understand each, as you have already studied in class 7th also. Now, first is plasma. Plasma forms 55% of the total volume of the blood. It is complex fluid, contains of inorganic salt, organic compound, organic substances of plasma are soluble, proteins such as albumin. It maintains the osmotic pressure of the blood. Second protein, very important, that is globulin. Some act as an antibody. Third one is fibrinogen, used in blood clotting. And glucose, amino acids, lipids, vitamins, enzymes, hormones, and waste materials, that is urea and uric acid. Now next is, this is the diagram of each, as you can understand, lymphocyte, monocyte, neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil, then this is platelet, and this is the first one which we have discussed. Now next is erythrocyte, that is red blood cells. So this is representing white blood cell, this is RBC, and this is platelet. Now red blood cells. Red blood cells or capsules are large in number and have iron containing red respiratory pigment, the hemoglobin. The erythrocyte of most vertebrates are oval shaped, nucleated, and biconvex. However, erythrocytes of mammals are circular, biconcave, disc-like, and lack nuclei. In this way, mammalian erythrocytes have the increased surface area for gaseous exchange, and they accommodate much more hemoglobin in them than RBCs of other animals. Erythrocytes play a very vital role in the transport of oxygen. Now next is white blood cells. White blood cells are of two main kinds, that is phagocytes and immunocytes. Phagocytes are capable of phagocytosis and they carry out the function of body defense by engulfing bacteria and other foreign substances. Phagocytes are of two types. First is granulocyte, which have irregular shaped nuclei and cytoplasmic granules with specific staining properties. They include neutrophils, basophils, and eosinophils, as we have seen in the previous diagram also, right? So, neutrophil, eosinophil, and basophil. Now, these are the three different types. Next, that is agranulocyte, leukocyte have no cytoplasmic granules, and include the monocyte. Monocytes have a large nucleus intended on one side and large amount of cytoplasm. They ultimately migrate to body tissues and transform into macrophages and histocytes. Immunocytes produce antibodies and are involved in the immune response. They include lymphocytes, which have a nearly spherical nucleus and little cytoplasm with no granules. Some lymphocytes later on transform into plasma cells. Blood platelets are minute, anucleated, fragile fragments of giant bone marrow cells called megakaryocytes. So that is about blood platelets. Now let's see formed elements of blood. What will be the number of percentage? Erythrocyte 4 to 6 million per mm cube. Then leukocyte 6,000 to 9,000 mm cube. Then agranulocyte 30 to 35%. Uh, then monocyte 3 to 7%, lymphocyte 30 to 35%, granulocytes, neutrophil 55 to 60%, eosinophil 2 to 5%, basophil 0 to 1%, and platelets, that is highest in number, that is approx 2 lakh to 4 lakh per mm cube. Next is difference between RBCs and WBCs. Very simple, as we have already discussed. They are red in color, whereas WBCs are colorless. RBCs, size of each RBC is about 7.2 micrometer, whereas WBCs, size of WBCs varies between 10 to 20 micrometer. RBCs, their number is 4 to 6 million per mm cube, whereas in this case 6,000 to 9,000 per mm cube. They are biconcave, rounded in shape, but in case of WBCs, the shape of WBCs is rounded to amoeboid. Nucleus is absent in case of RBC. That's why they are called capsules, whereas nucleus is present. Next is the cells contain hemoglobin, whereas WBCs do not contain hemoglobin. Most of the cell organelles are absent in these cells, and cell organelles are present in these cells. They are of only one type. They are of 5 types. Now, red blood cell lifespan of each RBC is 120 days, but lifespan of WBC is generally shorter, few hours to 4 days. RBCs, they transport oxygen and to some extent carbon dioxide, whereas WBCs, they function in defense and immunity. Next is blood occurrence and functions. Where it is present, blood occurs in the blood vessels called arteries, veins, and capillaries, which are connected together to form the circulatory system. The extensive branching network of vessels enables blood to reach every part of the body. Functions, if we say, so first is blood transports nutrients, hormones, and vitamins to the tissues and transport excretory products to the liver and kidney. Second, the red blood cells or RBCs carry oxygen to the tissues for the oxidation of foodstuff. Third, the white blood cells, that is WBCs, acts as a soldiers, scavengers, and builders of the body. Last, the platelets help in clotting of blood. Next is lymph. Again, lymph is a part of blood only. Lymph is a colorless fluid that is filled out of the blood. Okay, blood capillaries. So we can also say that lymph is a colorless fluid tissue that acts as a middleman for the transport of materials between blood and tissue cells. It consists of 2 parts, plasma and white blood cells. The lymph is filtered out of the blood capillaries but differs from blood in lacking red blood cells, platelets, and some blood proteins. The lymph carries materials from the tissues into the blood stream and vice versa. The lymph also protects the body against infection by destroying invading microorganisms. Next, and the last one, that is nervous tissue. What is this nervous tissue, children? Very easy. Nervous tissue is a tissue which is specialized to transmit message within our body. Brain, spinal cord, and nerves are all composed of nervous tissue. Nervous tissue contains highly specialized unit cells called nerve cells or neurons. Neurons have the ability to receive stimuli from within or outside the body and to conduct, that means to send impulses, signals to different parts of the body. The impulse travels from one neuron to another neuron. So each neuron has following three types. First is cyton, which is also known as cell body. Second is dendrons. And the last, that is axon. So let's see one by one each. Cyton basically contains a central nucleus and cytoplasm with characteristic deeply stained particles called nacelles, granules, that is clumps of ribosome. Second, dendrons. The dendrons, which are short process rising from the cyton and further branching into dendrites. And the last one, that is axon, which is a single long cylindrical process of uniform diameter. It forms fine branches terminally. Each such twig-like branch of axon ends in a swollen structure called synaptic knob or button. Button contains acetylcholine-filled vesicles. Acetylcholine is an important neurotransmitter, that is a substance that plays an important role in the transmission of nerve impulse within the nervous system. Axon is also known as nerve fibers. You can see all the three things in this diagram: cyton, then axon, and then the last one, um, that is cyton, this one, then dendron, which give rise to dendrites, and then axon. So we are done with the chapter. Now let's see the difference between axon and dendrite. It is a long, uniformly thickened fiber like processes of neuron. Dendrite, it is a short tapering process of a neuron. Second, it is always covered with a sheath, and in case of dendrite, it is absent. Sheath is absent, as you can see in the diagram 2. Nacelle granules are absent, neurofibrils are, however, present. Both nacelles, granules, and neurofibrils are present. Last, it carries impulses away from the cell body, and dendrites, it carries impulses towards the cell body. So this is the difference between axon and dendrite. So we are done with the chapter, children. I hope all the points are very clear to you. If any doubt is there, you can write on Campus Care, and I am going to give you a few questions in assignment. Please complete all the questions. It is very important, and please do complete all the notes, everything. Watch the video again and again. If still you have any doubt, then you can ask. Thanks. Happy learning.